All right. In this video, I want to talk about Satan's red herring. Now, if you're not familiar with what a red herring is, it's not just a fish. It actually represents a type of argument, I suppose you could say. But it's basically just a distraction. And this comes from when criminals were trying to escape the law and they would run through, let's say, the woods. The authorities would take bloodhounds and sniff them out and find them. But these fellas would take something like a red herring, a fish that stinks, and throw it off to the side. So while they're running away from the hound dogs, the hound dogs get distracted from the scent of the red herring because it's such a strong scent. So when the criminal is carrying that, it's very easy for the hound to find him. But then when the criminal throws the red herring, it's a distraction. And the dog go after the fish while the criminal gets away. That's why I have this picture of you distracted by the smelly fish while Satan's he-and away with the money, right? And you may be asking, okay, so what's this red herring? Well, this red herring is how Satan has already used what is called predictive programming to get everybody basically brainwashed into thinking that the Antichrist, the one everybody calls the Antichrist, you know, the beast of Revelation, the man of sin, the son of lawlessness, the son of perdition, this fella that's going to come up that everyone refers to as the Antichrist, they have everybody convinced that he is going to be a relatively younger fellow, right? Like in his 30s, a fairly attractive guy that's charismatic, possibly rich, and is going to be saying all the right things, everything everybody wants to hear, and is going to be super popular and beloved. And we get this through a lot of the movies, even the rapture movies, where Christians bring it out and make it look like that's how the Antichrist is going to be. But you see, that's the big deception, is because that is not something that the actual Bible mentions. It doesn't say that this fella is of a certain age, doesn't say that he's attractive, doesn't say whether or not he's wealthy, doesn't say really anything about him being charismatic or that everybody loves him and that he's supported by everybody. Matter of fact, it says that he gets into power with a small people or a lowly people. And then he has to actually fight people. He has to force people into submission to contracts, to covenants, to agreements. Right? So that's where the red herring is going on. You see, everybody, even the Christians, where we should be warning the people who they don't care about the gospel, right? They don't care about getting saved. They may or may not believe the rapture, thinking, well, I'll believe it when I see it, right? And we are here looking for somebody that fits our preconceived idea of who the Antichrist is that's not actually based off of the Bible. And we're talking to people about this over here, and it's a distraction as the Antichrist is actually right here getting away with everything right before our eyes, and very few people are actually calling him out, pointing him out at who he is. And you may be saying, you know who he is? I'm 99.9% sure who he is. And I'll put it down right here. This guy right here. He's gotten into power with a small group of people who you could say are lowly people. You know, the difference between like blue collar, white collar kind of thing. And he uses lies and deceptions and flattery to get into power. And he uses the Christians, right? And he's seeking to change times and laws, trying to turn the United States Republic that has been turned into a democracy. He's trying to turn it into a dictatorship. And he looks like he's actually succeeding in doing so. And he's only 6 months into his, or 7 months now into his first year of his second term. So he still got 3.5 more years to continue on what he's doing. And this guy here worships a god that his fathers didn't worship. He worships Apollo, as you can see in his penthouse of his Trump Tower. He has it all decked out to Apollo, a sun god. And we know that Apollo, also known as Abaddon, right? A bad dawn, as in not a good dawn, but a bad one, right? Comes up out of the bottomless pit, right? And this Apollo is none other than another name for Satan, as Satan is the destroyer. And will ultimately, I believe, possess this fella here, as he is haughty and arrogant and bold and pompous and foolish and very petty and insecure and narcissistic. He fits the bill to a T. He has Assyrian blood, as his family has come from Germany, in an area of Germany where the Assyrians migrated to. And he converted to Judaism. The Jews love him. He has like a 99% approval rating over there in the nation of Israel. Something you might want to look up. He had a golden replica of the Ark of the Covenant, which he ended up giving to Israel, that they could use it in the temple when they build the third one. And he's wanting to help build that third temple. They've taken his face and put it on the temple coin, the gold coin with Cyrus, and this fella, his picture's on there as well. Very strange stuff. They gave him the crown of Jerusalem. I believe when he was supposedly had that shot fired at him and it supposedly nicked his ear, I don't think it touched his ear. That's why it healed so fast and there's no scar on it. I believe it was a ritual like they did with Aaron, putting blood on the right ear or the right thumb and right toe, because as soon as he got up, he was like, give me my shoes, give me my shoes. Why was his shoes off? Yes, somebody really did get shot. That person was a sacrifice that they used probably in this ritual and to make it look real. Right? This is something that our government has done before, such as with 9/11. It's definitely an inside job. They knew about the Pearl Harbor attacks before it happened. Did nothing about it. Right? False flags all over the place. The country started with a false flag, dressing up as Native Americans to make it look like they did it. But the English didn't fall for it. So the start of the war was more of an accident than anything else. Right? I mean, we teach this to our children, and if we thought about it, well, taught it, we would say, if we're so brave in such an amazing country that fought for our freedom, why did we dress up as Native Americans and try to blame it on them? That makes no sense. The country started on a false flag, right? On deception. And then we teach it to us, to our children, right? And none of us sees it. We're just like, oh yeah, that seems like a normal thing to do. We're upset about taxation without representation. We should do something about it. Hey, how about we dress up as these other people so they're the ones that get blamed for it? Yeah, that seems like a normal thing to go do. Right? And we never thought about it. We never put that together. Right? That was wrong. You should do something like that. Why would you do that? Right? It's imagine today, like, oh, they do the same thing, but they did blackface. They did blackface to make it look like black people did it when they, were rebelling against Russia and China or something, right? Well, if you're such strong, bold Americans, why would you do such a thing, right? That seems weird, unless you're trying to make it look like your fellow man over here did it and you didn't, right? Right? So that's one of the reasons why I don't get too excited about the 4th of July and such things. I'm not super proud to be an American, right? And you might get upset about such things, but whatever, get upset. We're supposed to be all free and everything. I'm using my freedom. I'm using my freedom to express myself, right? And you should be fighting for such a thing, right? You should support such a thing. I'm not harming anybody. I'm just using my freedom of speech and everything, right? I can believe what I want and say what I want. I'm not harming anybody. I'm not encouraging anybody to harm anybody. So if you get a problem with it, seems like you got a problem with what America's supposed to stand for, if you ask me. But anyway, I bring that together because people associate this fellow with America as if they're one and the same. Right? A lot of these so-called patriots support this guy and they're excited about joining church and state, when this is a depiction of Antichrist. Church and state coming together and then enforcing all those who don't agree with the state's version of Christianity, with the religion, they die. This is history repeating itself over and over and over and over. When Israel, the Jews in Jesus' time, joined with the government, Rome, what did they do? They put Jesus to death. And then they went after his disciples. Then Constantine, like Trump, was not a true Christian, never truly converted. He saw a cross shape and was told to conquer in that sign. And then for whatever reason, why did you think that was Jesus giving that sign to him? When Jesus said, turn the other cheek, bless those that curse you, love your enemies, and he lived it out after he told his disciples, when they wanted to send fire down on a Samaritan village that rejected him, he said, no, what are you doing? Do you not know what spirit you're of? I came to save men's lives, not destroy them. And then he lived it out and didn't fight back when they tortured him and put him to death. But now all of a sudden he's going to take some pagan guy and say, I want you to go conquer in the sign of the cross. And you think that's Jesus talking to him? What makes you think that was Jesus that gave him that message? Because he said it was? Because that doesn't line up with the Jesus from the scriptures. To go rage war? Get out of town. But you see, he was trying to unify his nation, unify the government with the church. He made himself head of the church. Right? And then what'd he do? He didn't end persecution. He ended persecution for his brand of Christianity, but all the brands that didn't agree with him, they still suffered persecution. And they did so under the Roman pontiff, the Pope afterwards, right? And we see the same thing happen when Calvin joined church and state, he had governmental authority. He burned people alive for disagreeing with him. That's all they did. The same thing the Catholic Church did. You didn't agree with them. You didn't want to be Catholic. Well, then enjoy the cookout, right? And then when Christianity joined with the English government, formed the Anglican Church, they started putting people to death as well. And then the Puritans, just an offshoot of the Calvinists, when they came over to the Americas, they had governmental authority. They started the witch trials, started burning people alive. All right? What do you think's going to happen now? The true Christians are going to be a target. All the people who are cultural Christians, Christians in name only, they're going to be fine going along with the government version of Christianity because they don't really care about true Christianity. They don't care about Jesus. They don't mind just being fake. They're not going to stand up for what's true. They'll go, yeah, I'm the Trump's version of Christianity, of Christian. Because Trump ain't Christian. He said it himself that he never asked God for forgiveness, said he doesn't bring God into that kind of scenario, right? So it's like, how is he Christian if he's never come to God for forgiveness? He's like, I don't need forgiveness. I just try to do better. And then when they asked him again, hey, would you change your answer? He said, no, I don't bring God into that. Right? So he said it twice. He doubled down on it. This guy's not Christian. If you still think he is, you're delusional. He is that guy. I have pretty much no doubt about it. I just leave that 0.1% and say I'm 99.9% sure because I know I'm not infallible. Right? And I didn't get a thus saith the Lord. Just I haven't seen anything that fits the Antichrist like this guy here. Nothing like it. Born on an eclipse during a time when Aleister Crowley was saying that L. Ron Hubbard and the rocket guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, they were trying to create a moon child through a ritual to bring one of the demonic spirits into the physical realm through the conception of a child. All right, I made a video talking about that. I mean, there's a lot of creepy stuff surrounding this guy, not to mention his life compared to the life of the Damien fella from the Omen movies. That's a little strange. It's almost like they made those movies as a, hey, we told you so about him. It's kind of weird. Very weird stuff. Right? Not saying the movies are gospels, but I do know that Satan has to tell you his plans. And he always tries to tell you his plans through music and cartoons and books and movies and all this stuff so he can kind of pass it off as just entertainment. It's not real. But he's telling you the truth. You ever heard that phrase, that saying of people joke about the truth? So the comedians, when they're telling their jokes, and they're like, oh, it's just a joke. I'd be like, yeah, but a lot of times they joke about what is true, right? And they're putting this stuff right in front of your face. So I just wanted to make this video because I think everybody's distracted because they have an assumption that the Antichrist is this amazing charismatic figure. No, he's the one that the Jews look at as their Messiah, and they call this guy their Gentile Messiah. Right? And they think he's going to be like Cyrus to help them build that third temple. Come on, people. You got to be warning people about this guy right here. Because how many people these days are actually receptive to the gospel? There's a lot of people who just walk away, or just like, yeah, whatever. Or they're just kind of like, but there's nobody that's really accepting it, right? Who you can see that they truly believe. Even the ones that say they believe, you don't even know if they truly believing, because a lot of them seem to be doing it just to fit in with like a social club, to be a cultural Christian. They're like, oh yeah, I believe. High five. I get the secret handshake now, right? To get into the club. Right? That just seems to be their attitude. So you have to be warning them of this guy. Because he is this guy down here. And you're all distracted, looking for somebody different. But you got to keep in mind of what we're told in Isaiah about Lucifer. Is when his time comes, everybody's going to look at him and be like, this is the man? This is the guy that made the world tremble? And I see this guy here as exactly that. When I look at him, I'm like, this guy? And that's what makes it fit so well, is because that's exactly what it says about him. You're like, this is the guy? This pompous fool is the guy? And that what makes it fit what is said about Lucifer and Isaiah. Where you're like, really? Him? That's weird. Because he is just as arrogant and pompous and as foolish as Satan himself. Because that's how Satan really is. He thinks he's smarter than he really is. He's just a fool. But he knows how to scheme. And he got you looking at thinking that he's going to come to you in this just super eloquent way. Right? And that allows him to slip in as this jester over here, this clown, and you accept him because you don't think he's smart enough to be that guy. But it's not about being smart enough. It's just about being clever enough. It's about being arrogant enough and foolish enough to even claim to be God, which this guy would have no problem doing. Right? It kind of reminds me of some things. Right? There's been times I've been around people and I started thinking that they're kind of dumb. I'm like, I think this guy is just dumb. He's like a learning disability or something. He's not able to think clearly and figure things out. Right? But then when that same person I was thinking was dumb was motivated, right? They wanted to get something. All of a sudden, they schemed and figured out a way to get what they wanted. And I was like, really? You came up with that? So it's not the problem isn't that you're dumb. The problem is you're not motivated. That you just don't care enough to think. And you're only going to think and put an effort if there's something that's motivating you, like a carrot before, the horse or something, right? Or the pig or whatever. The golden carrot on the treadmill. It gets you running. You're trying to catch that carrot that you're never going to get, right? And that's what it takes with some people, right? And what's this guy's motivation? He loves to be adored and flattered. He's addicted to it. He's in love with it. And who puffs him up more than the Jews and the stuff they say about him? They think they can manipulate him and control him with flattery, right? But it's eventually going to go to his head where he actually is like, I'm God. And they're going to be like, oh crap, he's gone too far. Right? He's going too far. Because when you're somebody like this guy here, DJT here, you constantly need more flattery, more ego boost. You constantly need more because you're very much an empty person. right? So you need a constant validation. But you're going to need more. Like if you're told you are pretty cool, all right. But now you're going to need to be told you're really good. Next time you're going to be need to told you are great. Then you're going to be told you're amazing. Right? Then you're going to be told you're the best. Then you're going to be told you're the Messiah. Then you're going to be told you're the King of the Jews. Then you're going to be told you're God, because nothing else is really going to hit in that same way. You see, his pompousness, his ego cannot be satisfied. It's like greed. There's never enough, right? You constantly need more money. He constantly needs a higher boost. So after he gets used to be calling being called their Gentile Messiah, then he's going to have to be called their actual Messiah, accepted as one of them. And then that's not going to be enough. He's going to need to be considered their king. And then he's going to get, bored of that. That's not going to be enough to really fix it, really give him what he needs. So now he has to go to the ultimate place and say, I'm God. I'm above all that is called God. Because that's the only thing that's going to give him that oomph, that dopamine hit to feel good about himself, that will truly flatter him because he's heard everything else. So hopefully in this video, if I've done anything, I've got you at least to look at this guy and maybe want to look a little bit deeper at this and realize how you've been fooled. Because I know how a lot of people are looking at someone like Emmanuel Macron, for example, who wants to do the two-state solution. He's a bit of a younger fella. Some say he's fairly attractive. I wouldn't necessarily say he's charismatic, but they're looking at him. But you see, he would be a depiction of the red herring because he fits more of the model of what you've seen in like the Left Behind movies and all these other depictions of how the Antichrist is going to be, right? So he fits that mold of your preconceived ideas. But would you say Emmanuel is just this pompous, arrogant fella that the Jews would accept as their Messiah? No. There's only one person that they're actually doing this to. Only one person. And it's the biggest thing to show who the guy is who do the Jews accept? Who are the Jews open to accepting in this role of the Antichrist? The only one that they're accepting in that role, anything close to it, is this guy right here. Nobody else. Some people are thinking, this guy from Assyria, this guy over there, that guy over there. Are the Jews open to accepting them in that role in any way, shape, or form? Why are you even looking that way when you have this guy right here? Why? He got both the Jews and the Christians eating out of his hand. The Antichrist is going to come out of that Judo-Christian mix, out of a mixture of the iron and clay, Rome mixing with God's people, Israel and the Christians. That's exactly what we see here with this guy. But I'm just going to wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. You think about it. And let me know what you think about it. Because I know a lot of you might not agree. Right? Or you might say something like, we should be looking for Jesus, not for the Antichrist. Alright, well then, why are you watching my video? Go look for Jesus. What are you doing? Be an example. Come on now. Don't tell me to do something you're not doing, right? Come on. That's just weird. But anyway, anybody who said that probably didn't watch that far into the video anyway for me to tell them that. But anyway, if you like the video, you think this is definitely somebody we should be looking at least warning people about, I understand if you're not going to say that he is that guy. I believe he is. But I understand a lot of you saying he's not. Maybe he's just one of the 10 kings. All right. We should definitely warn about him then. Either way. But I believe he's the 11th that comes up, who the 10 give their power over to. And it just shows how far man has fallen, where they rejected God and they end up accepting this guy in his place. This is who they accept over God. And that is hilarious. And it's like a big joke, because God's a comedian. All right, and this is funny stuff right here. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, you think there's something to it, take a moment to pray to our Heavenly Father that you get the message out to who needs to get out to, and that He would keep doing everything in His power to reach our lost family and friends, to prepare them to hear and accept the gospel in this time of grace, and that He would really get the gospel to them and convict them of it. Do something in their lives that would shake them up to show them they need to get right with Him. And I pray that you would pray this, and if need be, that they would be prepared to go through what's to come upon this world. If they're, stubborn or stupid or something along those lines. Some of our family are like that. We can all be boneheads. But if they are, that God prepares them to go through what's to come upon this world, that they may be strengthened by His Spirit, seeing and knowing that the rapture happened, to be able to suffer and die from the time to come, or suffer all the way through what's to come, that one way or another they would all end up being saved with us. And that God would be here with all of us as born-again believers and provide for us and protect us until He comes and gets us, and that He would be with all of us that are just getting born again, and He get us caught up to speed, that we all may be united in the mind of Christ. And just an amen in Jesus' name to that should be good as gold. Don't forget to do what Isaiah said and find the book of the Lord and read. And do what Paul said and study that word, that you may be approved unto God, rightly dividing it. And that you do what John said and keep that word. Keep it and don't deny His name, so that God will keep you from the hour of temptation that will come upon all those that dwell on the earth. And so that Jesus will never tell you you do err, not knowing the Scriptures. And if you would like to help support this ministry in any other way, you could do some simple things like liking, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, the heart, sharing the video, sharing the channel, interacting in the comments section. These things help out so much. And if you still want to help out more after that, there's 4 ways you can donate to the ministry in the info description box if you so choose to do so. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.